Those of Entercom Radio, its sponsors, or affiliates.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Free. Alongside of me, Mr. Harry Glantz.
Morning, everybody. How you doing? Hi, Harv. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Hey, good morning, Harry.
You watched the Tiger game last night?
I only caught a little of it. I saw they took it on the chin, but
Everybody says to me, I text everybody during the Tiger game going, oh, it's 2-0, we look good. And then in the ninth or the bottom of the eighth inning, we give up 4 runs. They say, what do you watch the Tigers for? Well, number one, they're my team.
Exactly.
Number two, I love baseball. So how do you not watch your team playing baseball?
For sure, that's
just the way it
100%.
is.
Hey, Harry, we brought in Peter Zook from our office, too. Hey, Pete, thanks for coming in. Of course, Pete works a lot downriver, and he brings in Tony Holquin from Gap Realty Group down in the downriver area. I know you guys work a whole area.
Yeah.
All
Thank
Metro
you very much
Detroit.
for having us.
Well, it's great to have you, Tony. I think we've closed a few transactions before. I saw your name when Pete brought you, said you were coming on. I said, I know Tony. He's been around a while.
Yeah, I've been around for 22 years, so I'm sure we've crossed paths sometime or another.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with you too, Tony. It's real exciting to have you here. So we'll talk about some interesting strategies and things that you said something to me this week that I haven't heard anyone offering. So we'll get into that today. Again, if you're listening, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We have a full staff all weekend long. That's where you get your approval letter. It's a real approval letter that allows you to go out and make a strong offer. That's the key out there, as Tony would tell you, that all the real estate agents in the listing side, they want to make sure that you can close in a timely manner and there's not going to be any hangups if they accept your offer. So we'll get into all that today. I know Ronnie Jacobs is at the office, and you can call there at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's 1-800-569-7283. But, of course, first, we'll give you 1 hour here of the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Then we got some sports and a whole bunch of things coming up later this afternoon.
Harvey, remember back in the day when we started out the show, and we've been doing the show going on 18 years, you guys. Back in the day, we used to give an economic update. What's going on in the stock market, what's going on in the bar market, all those things. So we stopped doing that. But however is that right now, people need to know, and the jobs report came out, the unemployment rate came out, and it's close to 3% unemployment rate, which is the lowest in, I think, 17 years. So what does that mean for mortgage interest rates? Well, it's pretty simple. When the economy does really well, there's no need for the Fed to ease interest rates. So what does that mean for all of us? That means rates are going to go up. We've been talking about that. As the economy gets better, rates are going to go up. The jobs report is showing that, and it's being stimulated by the housing market. Okay? When you go into a depression like we had 10 years ago, what happened to the housing market? It was seriously in bad shape is an understatement, foreclosure rate, all those things. So then the Fed eases rates, stimulates the economy, and now we're seeing a situation right now where there is no need for that stimulus. Now, do I think rates should go up to 10%? No, and they won't within, hopefully, our lifetime.
Yeah, sure.
Again. But what you're seeing is a steadily rising interest rate environment, and it's going to continue all year long. So the PS to the end of that story is, if you're looking at buying a house, there's no better time than now to buy a house because rates are still historically, and I mean historically low. A 50-year chart will show you that we are still on the low end of mortgage interest rates. So I'm just telling you right now, rates are not coming back down. And you've heard me say that now for the last 3 years.
Yeah, definitely falls into the home purchasing. Tony, you're going to see it on your side. Home buyers are seeing themselves sort of priced out of the market in some communities. Many families cannot afford to repurchase in their own communities, has been the talk of the town. If you bought 4 years ago in any city that you even represent, there's built-in equity there. Those homes have gone up in value.
Absolutely. Yeah, they've gone up quite a few dollars in value. And buyers that are waiting are causing themselves some grief.
Okay.
Because the rates are ticking up and the values of the homes are ticking up. So if you want to wait 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to save up some more money, so to speak, then you could be priced right out of the area that you want to be in.
Yeah, they say that 8% less inventory than last year this time, yet the home prices have gone up 8%. So again, as you're waiting, the interest rates are climbing, then the home prices are going up and up and up.
Yep.
So, Tony, for everybody listening out there, Southgate, Trenton, Wyandotte, hot markets right now.
Very hot, yes.
Right.
Very hot.
Everybody thinks we just talk about the Woodward Corridor, Oakland County, Macomb County, out western Oakland County. I mean, but hot. Trenton, hot.
Yeah, you can put a home on the market, and sometimes within the same day, you'll have 5 to 10 offers.
Yeah. And you see some new construction down there, too. I know the Flat Rock area, Brownstown, Romulus, you're still seeing new construction all across the downriver areas.
Even the the Del Webb community that Pulte does. They started rebuilding again. So
Okay, good. So we got a lot of action down there. The equity in most families have has been tremendous. I mean, that's been really key. So it's very important if you're out there is to sort of see where your mortgage sort of fits in with when you bought the house. So again, a lot of families, Pete, as you know, went ahead and had to get FHA loans. They might have had a bankruptcy or a foreclosure, something that guided them to an FHA loan because the guidelines fit their particular needs. But now they're far removed from that. They have the equity in the house, a lot of times even 20% equity. Right. But as you know, Pete, we also offer programs with less than 20% equity, and you can maybe get rid of that MIP.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Even with as little as 5 or 10% equity, you're probably, if your scores are where they need to be, you're going to be able to get rid of the MIP. You might have some PMI to pay, but at a much reduced rate.
Right. And then, of course, we got some alternatives to the old traditional PMI. They got lender-paid PMI out there. So if your interest rate was going to be X, maybe an eighth or a 1/4% higher, you can avoid the PMI. Give yourself a lower monthly payment, and more importantly, the interest deductions there. So whether or not you get 4 3/4 or 5%, you get to write that interest off. So again, the higher the rate, a little bit more of a tax deduction, and you don't have to pay the traditional PMI, which isn't a tax deduction. We've got tons to share with you all morning long. Again, if you want to call in the show, 248-539-9797. We talk about all the different ways to purchase houses, and a couple different things came up. But Pete, one of the things that you do is you're really versed in MSHDA loans. Of course, MSHDA loans through the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. These are great loans because they give our lower income families an opportunity, because they give you the down payment assistance you need to buy that house.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can. I look at it as borrowing money from the state. Okay, the taxpayers of the state of Michigan are going to lend you up to $7,500 in assistance. They're going to give you a leg up, get you into the house, and at a reduced interest rate. Also, right now they're in the 4 to 4 3/4%, depending if you use the down payment assistance or if you don't need that. There's an even lower interest rate for people that don't need the down payment assistance.
Just like the program.
Right.
So these opportunities are out there. And again, we talk about some different opportunities. There's also down payment assistance through a couple different avenues. There's one that offers in Wayne County. So again, if you're looking to purchase a house in the Wayne County area, some of the particular cities are not on the program. But give us a phone call, and again, we can always guide you to a mortgage that's going to fit your needs and setting you up to be a successful homeowner. That's the key. 248-539-9797. Again, Pete, we talk about MSHDA loans, but that is also sort of an FHA loan, which is at a 3.5% down payment, and then you can get the sellers to help with closing costs and prepaid items. And then Tony came up with something this week that I never heard. Really, there's been a lot of different benefits when it's a seller's market. Sellers are looking for, Tony, as you mentioned, they're looking for days of occupancy for free. There's multiple offers. They want highest and best. They're looking to close in 30 days and then maybe stay in the property for free for 30 or 60 days. Tony, you came up with one. I don't want to jump on your parade, but there's no doubt. You mentioned in a competitive bidding situation that you can make an offer to cover the seller's cost of selling a home. The seller's cost is selling a home. There are costs involved.
Absolutely. We've been doing it the opposite way for how many years now?
Right.
Buyers get closing costs paid by seller. You bump up the price a little bit to cover for it. But in this market, you can only give so much to the seller and before you run into problems. You raise the price, you run into appraisal problems. What you want to do is you want to net the most amount for the seller with your offer. So what you do is you just go in there and you say that the seller will pay, or the buyer will pay some of the seller's closing costs, transfer taxes, title insurance, wherever you want to work it.
Right.
But that can make your offer shine out over some of the other ones.
Yeah, and that is such a creative way of doing it. And you have to present offers nowadays because there are bidding wars. There's such competitive situations, gentlemen, on these properties that you have to make it attractive to that seller to buy that house from them because they're going to have so many offers.
Yeah.
I disagree, though, right now. I don't think you need to close a house in 30 days. And when I say that, there's always the pressure on when you're going to close, In our office, what we're seeing the opposite now. We're seeing, because the market is so hot, where is that seller going to go? So they want to stay in that house as long as possible. Yes, they want to sell it for the highest price, but they also, want to stay in the house the longest time frame so they can go out and find a house. So what we're finding, it's not unusual that somebody is going to go ahead and say, let's have a 60-day close and then stay in the house for 60 days.
Definitely
That's
give
what
yourself.
we're seeing.
Yeah, we're seeing it. Give yourself some time to find that next house.
Yeah.
All right, we're up against our first break here. It's 9:12 if you're just joining us. When we come back, if you're buying or selling a house, definitely keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
If you're just joining us, I guess it's spring outside. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty decent day out there. We're looking for some great weather tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. So, again, get your approval letter, call your real estate agent, your realtor professional, and definitely get out
I'd like
there.
to play some golf today, Harvey,
Yeah,
but the guys I want to play with, they don't want to play because it's too cold out, Harry. I don't want to play in the cold. It's no fun.
Is that what Mike Stone said to you?
We're going to take
I don't want to throw
guess.
Stoney
That
under.
guy.
I won't
wild
even.
guess.
I love
won't
him
even.
so much. I love him. It hurts. It hurts me. It hurts me to love him.
We'll get him to play with you.
I think it's a nice fall day.
Hey, that's a drop, Harvey. You don't want to say that again.
248-539-9797. We talk mortgages and real estate. We brought in Terry Bloom from the Century 21
Terry Lee
office.
Bloom. It says that on her license
yeah,
plate.
I'll call you Terry Lee.
Don't forget.
I like it. Terry, are you a country and western star?
No.
No, okay, that
I'm
was
a rock
easy.
star.
There you are, rock star.
Wow.
She likes Zeppelin. We
Yes.
got that. She likes. She comes from the area. She's like a mid '70s child, which means that's when she grew up, and we were all sharing the same Pink Floyd, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin records.
You mean
Yeah, we
heard
hung
of
out
her
together
old-
when we were little, so that should tell you a lot about me.
Yeah, well, you're still little.
All right, we're going to move off to Kevin. Good morning, Kevin. You got a question about credit scores and such. Let's see, my guy there is going to click it on. There we go. Hey, Kev, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
What's
Real
up,
good.
Kev?
What's happening?
Yes, I was trying to find out what is the best way to raise your credit score because I was listening to your radio station a while back, and you was saying something. You shouldn't go to one of those online credit or improve your credit scores.
Yeah, the reason we say that is because they're going to want you to pay money to do something that you can do on your own.
Yeah, because I've done that, and I didn't really see too much improvement, but they was just charging me way too much. But when I heard you say that, I counseled it. Yeah.
Yeah, so the best way to raise your credit score, how we have to address this because there are other people out there that are listening. They think that, they have bad credit, and what happens is people that have bad credit, they just didn't pay their bills on time.
Yeah.
So they think that they can go ahead and call or click on or something, pay somebody money, and that disappears. It doesn't work that way. The best way to raise your credit score is, first of all, you have to stop charging on your credit cards, and then you have to make the payments, and you have to establish an on-time payment history. The more months that you make those payments on time, the higher your credit score will get. And it's not an overnight process. It's going to take time. It's going to take 6, 7, 8, 10 months.
See contest rules for 97.1 The Ticket contests. Go to 971theticket.com and click on the contest tab.
The Tigers battle the Royals. First pitch is at 4:15 on 97.1 The Ticket.
Ready? Welcome back to the show, 918. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. It's where you're going to find a full staff of qualified mortgage professionals. Just check our mortgage license numbers. We've been around a long time. And again, we're there to provide you the best.
Yeah, you like
approval
doing
letter.
that, don't you?
I do.
Here's what Harvey does. Harvey likes checking the NMLS license numbers of other LOs that he competes with.
Yeah.
And then he said he does it because he's been in the business 24 years. He's got a lower one.
26.
You know, I've got a lower one. So bottom line is he looks at him and he looks at the license number and says, "Wow, this guy's been in the business like a year." And then he starts railing on the guy. It's just a source of entertainment.
It's just a source of entertainment. Exactly. That's all it is. But we've got some great information to share with you all morning long. Please give us a phone call, especially if you're downriver. Give us an idea what's going on there. Tony Holquin, his office down there, Gap Realty Group. They're experts in the downriver area. If you're buying or selling a house, definitely give us a phone call. We'll tell you how to get it all set up. 248-539-9797. Here he actually mentioned about the economy doing so well. There's no doubt about it. The economy's doing great, and now we're starting to see, of course, the interest rates bump up. Actually, the stock market was up 332 points. It doesn't even make news when they have rallies like that anymore. Again, 300-400 points is just big numbers to see the stock market doing so well, which leads us into different opportunities for families to come up with down payment money. And that's the thing. You need money to work with to purchase a house because of the multiple bids, Tony. When there's multiple bids, 10, 12, 20 bids coming in on a house, we know it's highest and best. But sometimes as a buyer, you need to have some additional money to make up the difference if you have to bid over the asking price.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you have to do it, whereas you guarantee the appraisal to a certain extent. All the other things that we've been hearing about, the free occupancy, sometimes a quick close works, and just like Harry said, sometimes a quick close can be a detriment. Mm-hmm. So it's the agent's job, the buyer's agent job, to get a hold of the seller's agent and find out what's going on, what do the sellers need, and try to put your offer into that category.
Yeah, you still send a biography letter too with your offers.
Sometimes we do that. Yeah.
You want to make it as an attractive situation as you possibly can, Tony. So what you do, in my opinion, is you have to really get to know who that seller is. And chances are, if you're buying in a neighborhood, that realtor, you are going to know that seller. And you're going to know what their hot buttons are. And you're going to put together an offer. Peter's going to get you a pre-approval letter letting you know the buyer is very well qualified to enter into that purchase agreement. And then you've got to work on things like occupancy, flexibilities, move in, move out dates, closing dates, things of that nature. So it's really about now an all-around attractive offer meeting the seller's needs. It used to be about the buyer,
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's about the seller.
It's about the seller's needs and what can make another thing that we talked about before on the show. I heard you guys talk about waiving home inspection contingencies. Now,
God, Tony, I love you, but I can't do that.
Here's the thing, you can. I'm not saying don't do a home inspection. I'm saying do a home inspection, but you don't have to have the contingency in place that you're going to walk away from it.
Tony,
or put a contingency in place.
Harry's against those. I'm with
really
you.
Bad.
I'm with you. We had that conversation, Tony. In other words, let's agree though that most home inspections, because sellers might have bought in the last 2 or 3 years, so they've already bought a house that was inspected. They might have put money into these things, and then you can obviously tell if it's a newer furnace or roof or it's on the seller's disclosure. But there is an opportunity out there to save some money, not saving money by not doing the inspection, but you're not going back to the seller, because at the end of the day, most home inspections find $2,000 to $3,000 worth of repairs, Harry. There's
right
not
now,
always.
After listening to this show for over 17 years, going on 18 years, there are people that just drove off the side of the road because what I will say is this, is that it's the largest purchase of your life. You have to have a home inspection. What you guys are saying is you have a home inspection. If I'm hearing you correctly, don't waive the contingency to have it, but whatever the results are, then pick and choose if you're going to go back to the seller and ask them to contribute to the repair. That's what I'm hearing. If that's what you guys are saying, I might be able to agree with that rather than not having the inspection and then not arguing about it if it's a major repair or being able to walk away from the house. Because right now, unless somebody comes in the studio and hits me over the head with a bat and knocks me out, I'm not going to ever tell a client not to have a home inspection and not to be able to walk away from it if there's something that they are uncomfortable with.
Tony,
why would I ever? Why? So somebody come on in here and hit me. Why would I ever advise that way? I'm just trying to think about it. There are people now you could start your car up and you can go back on the road because it's just not going to happen with me.
Only in specific situations would you want to do that. I never advise a client to not do a home inspection. We sit down in our buyer consultation and we explain different aspects of the purchase. And here are different things that can strengthen your offer. Here are things that's going to weaken your offer. And whatever we can put together and that's they're comfortable with, we'll put together. Now, someone may be in the construction field. I've had people who are heating and cooling companies.
For sure.
A lot of people who feel as though they can do some of that stuff. But if you get someone who is an accountant and a teacher, they're not going to know anything about homes.
It's based on the house.
So we talked about that. We've had people on the air. Okay, we've had guests who have been home builders on the air. We've had callers that call in that are very qualified people that are licensed in the heating and cooling area. And when they go to buy a house, if the HVAC isn't to their liking, they don't care about it because that's their area of expertise. Yes, I understand that. But, Tony, come on. You know most people, they don't know which end of an hammer to hold.
Exactly.
So why, as just somebody who tries to counsel and advise people the right thing to do and just protect yourself, get that team of people around you. Again, I even hesitate to say if they feel comfortable with it. Sometimes you need to tell people what to do. Most people can't even get up and brush their teeth, okay?
For sure.
So if I'm going to lend them $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $100,000 on a house, and they're only putting down $10,000 or $5,000, I want that home inspected.
Yeah,
that's just my. We're probably saying the same thing, only differently. But I want our people to be protected and have the best feeling when they go in and they buy that house. I don't want them to miss anything. That's just how I feel.
No, 100% on that. No, if you look at it that way again. But it was, Tony, as you mentioned, there are these particular situations where it's not as important because of the fact maybe the house is newer, maybe they have lots of money, maybe it's such a new house, and they were all built in the same area. The guy's able to take a look. Maybe he just needs a foundation guy to come out and double check the foundation. Sure. Right. But if a house is 30, 40, 50 years old and you don't have any money.
We have a wide listening area. I like to hear people call in. I want to hear their stories where they were comfortable with the home inspection, they did the work and everything turned out great. And then I want to hear somebody that say that they didn't have one or they had one, it didn't work out great. It's really about the people out there, and I'd like to hear those stories. But I'm always going to tell somebody, do not waive the appraisal contingency, and then you go from there. I like to hear from realtors out there what they're doing. Tony, in our community, you have a point of view, I have a point of view. I like to hear what everybody else's point of view is because I think it sparks up great conversation.
Yeah, it does. And, of course, you've got to do the right thing for your family. You're spending a lot of money. You're signing a contract, and you got to make sure you have all that information before. Tony, you talked about even the wants and needs list when you're working with buyers and sellers. So you have this initial consultation. That's almost the most important step in purchasing a house.
That, in my opinion, is the very most, that and the pre-approval letter.
Okay.
But this thing starts with getting you the proper pre-approval letter. So you have a consultation with the client where you can sit down with them face to face. I have a whole list of questions that I ask them. I have a profile I ask them to fill out. And then what we want to know is what is important to them. We can guess, we can think we know what's important to us, but what is important to that client.
Right.
And to tell them what kind of things can go right in the transaction, but even what can go wrong. So if there's certain things that go wrong, they already know about it. Well, they may not remember it exactly, but they'll say, oh, yeah, Tony mentioned something about appraisal could be a problem.
Right.
So you're setting up those expectations, and you're kind of running with them ahead of time. Preemptive strike, so to speak.
Right. You definitely prepare yourself to be successful on the home ownership side. Sure. 248-539-9797. We talk a little about, Tony, you talked about those expectations and stuff and setting those up properly. Sometimes the location of the house, the school district, is more important than anything else. It just is. At the end of the day, it's about the location of the house versus whether or not it has a 3-car garage versus a 2-car garage.
Yes.
All right, so we see a lot of that. Also want to throw out there, 248-539-9797. Refinancing, that's right. Many of you folks haven't taken advantage yet. Definitely give us a phone call. Debt consolidation, those are the loans you want to take a look at. If you've got toxic debt out there, credit card debt, you haven't paid your property taxes, give us a call, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show. Well, we talk always about home purchases, and it's home buying season. That makes it a lot of fun. We want to hear from you. 248-539-9797. But also time to refinance. Boy, if you haven't taken a look at what's going on with your mortgage, again, most families have had this great opportunity, Terry, and as you know, so many of the people that bought from 2000, pretty much 2009 till recently, they have built-in equity. What you bought for $150,000 a few years ago is probably worth $200,000
$250,000, $300,000.
The numbers are...
It's amazing to see.
It really is that type of market. Now, we saw families get into problems, though, years ago. I mean, this was happening when my sort of people were buying and when I was in 30 and we were getting our families together. And they started taking out too much equity. They started doing these home equity loans and finishing their basement and buying boats. And people got in trouble. Now's the time where you just learn how to do it the right way, you know, and you refinance.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and you refinance.
Hopefully we've learned.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn in a transaction. But again, so these opportunities are out there, but are you seeing like most of the homes that you're showing, does it appear that they have been updated, or does it look like some of the ones that are still out there just need so much work, which sort of leads us to some other opportunities? What are you finding with the homes?
I find most homes are in good shape and have been updated. And I'm in a market of, 100 up to about 8. So I see a lot.
Yeah.
Most of the homes are in pretty good shape.
Really? Yeah, okay. Seems like families have been putting some money back into it. And that's the key, is to do your kitchens and bath. And we used to get those calls often about renovations, where to put the money. You do seem to get more for your bang your buck in return if you're putting it into the kitchens and updating.
Yeah,
and
kitchens and bathrooms. She's
Appraisers love granite.
They love to see the granite or whatever else they're putting on there, right? They got all sorts of different stones.
We're getting a lot of questions for Terry on our Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Terry, what do you think about, do sellers go ahead and entertain offers during the inspection period when they've already accepted another offer? I mean, how does that work? The guy wants to know, how about offers made during the inspection period? I mean, I have my opinion. I just want to know what your opinion is.
If you're in a fully executed contract between a seller and a buyer, you cannot accept another offer. You can keep that offer as a backup in case the offer in first position falls apart.
There you go.
It's very litigious.
I like it.
Know your stuff.
Know your stuff. Well, so people don't typically do. Well, they can always do that. You can always take a backup offer. What's the difference? If it doesn't close in that 30-day period, then you got someone else who's interested in the house.
The bank started that when we were in the recession.
Book your stay today at thed.com. The D Las Vegas, your home for Detroit sports in Vegas.
The baseball team that Detroiters love most. The Detroit Tigers live here.
97.1 The Ticket.
Alrighty, right back to the show, 9:32. Welcome back. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, again brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's where you'll find us all week long. Get a real approval letter. Deal with real professionals that have tons of experience. Find out all the ins and outs of the mortgages and how it all works just by calling Capital Mortgage. We're right here in Southfield. We'll meet you at your place, or you can come to ours, whatever's convenient for you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. And we've got a call in here, and if you would like to join the show, 248-539-9797. Let's move off to Evelyn. Evelyn, you've got a
Hello.
question. Good morning. Go ahead.
Question. I purchased my home back in 2010 when the economy was really tanked, and I got a really good deal as a foreclosure. And now that my home is worth almost 4 times more than I bought it for,
All right.
I'm wondering if I should sell it and take the profit and go and get another mortgage, or should I refinance, stay where I'm at, and maybe pay off some debt, student loans, things of that nature.
No, Evelyn, where are you going to go if you sell it?
That's what everyone says to me.
You might want to consider that. Also, do you like where you live? I mean, do you want this to be your last move? I'm just trying to figure out what your family needs, your individual needs are.
Well, I do like the area. The thing is that the house is very old. It's 100 years old, and it needs some updates. And so if I need to put some money into the house, quite frankly, and I guess I'm just frustrated because I would rather maybe possibly move and go somewhere where it's, turnkey, walk in, don't need to fix anything up, or do I stay, take some money out of the equity in my home and fix it up and just stay there?
Well, why not? The answer could be why not both? I mean, if you go ahead and sell the house and you make a profit, you're going to have proceeds in which to go ahead and pay off that toxic debt and probably have enough money to buy another house in an area where, like you said, it's a turnkey. The house isn't as old. But that's something that you have to sit down. You have to put, pen to paper and say, here are my goals and objectives. What do I want to do? And you have to factor in, if you stay in that 100-year-old house, how much you're going to have to put in it to make it the way you want it to stay there for a long period of time.
And to keep its value up.
Yeah. If you go ahead and let's say, I would entertain this. I would say, sit down, put all your debts on paper and say, this is what I need. If you can get that out of proceeds of the sale of the house and be able to find a house to your liking that is turnkey, the answer to the question could be, why not both? Why not sell and pay off the debt? But you have to sit down with somebody. I would say that, at minimum, you have to sit down if you have a financial planner or an accountant or somebody that you can confide in. Or if you want to do it yourself, that's good too. But the clear-cut version should be whatever your goals and objectives are. Don't do something that's wishy-washy. I'd hate to see you miss out on an opportunity for me to pay off, for me it would be to pay off that debt.
Right.
Evelyn, I was wondering, I'm going to ask Tony a question. Tony, would Evelyn be also, after she figures it out and then we got some numbers and she says, well, let's give it a try. Let's see what the house would sell for in today's market because it's a unique property. It's 100 years old, and people that are looking for those properties, they too know, they have a little bit more understanding it's going to take some money to make it right. However, what if she puts it on the market even just for 30 or 60 days? There's nothing that says she has to accept an offer, but she could feel it out and see what type of offers are coming in. Would that be a good strategy?
That would be a great strategy for her.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things, too, I think, Evelyn, as much as the real estate agents and Tony, look, he wants to put a sign up in the house and get it in closure next week. There's no doubt that everyone's motivation is financial and is to make money on it. But at the end of the day, they're going to work with you. And you find an agent like Tony, they'll put the house on the market. And if you get the offers you're looking for, great. You can then make the decision if
Evelyn,
it's time
where
to
do
sell.
you live?
I live in Clawson.
All right, great. And because Clawson's hot. You know
It
that.
is hot.
So it's hot.
Clawson is very hot.
And they're doing a lot of construction at 14 and on 14 Mile there.
I mean, I live on a double lot and a dead-end street. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Well, you might want to take a look at it. I mean, but I would evaluate it seriously. And if you have debt, see, the problem is you don't necessarily have to have that debt. If you can go ahead and make some money on selling your house, but
that's what I feel. Like, why should I sit here with all the student loan debt and be stressed out about it when I can get it taken care of?
Yeah, definitely. You might have enough equity in the house now. It's a great call. I'm going to follow up with you after the show, and we'll get you set up with some of the great real estate agents like Tony. And again, you can sort of feel it out from that way. Just move forward with it and see if the numbers make sense to sell and see what kind of offers you get.
I appreciate that.
Great call. Thank you. It opens up a whole bunch of different questions. I tell people that all the time. When you list your house for sale, of course, your motivation is to sell, but you don't have to accept the offer or what's going on now, Tony. And we talked about these reverse contingencies. You might accept the offer contingent upon you finding a house over the next 60 days.
That happens all the time.
Okay, so the market is done a 360.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So you have to do that sometimes.
All right. So
all the times, and the one thing that Harry was talking about before, sometimes you do want to delay the closing a little bit so you can get some extra time. However, you are a little bit stronger of a buyer on that end. if you have already closed.
Right. That you have no contingencies on your end. You're ready to go.
At all. Yeah.
All right. So if you temporarily could stay with family members, do a small rental or whatever the situation
Keep
is.
your options open as much as you can.
Right. Tony's right, because nobody in this market is going to accept a purchase agreement with a contingency sale. Not going to happen.
No, not at all. 248-539-9797. We have open lines all morning long. Again, if you are out there thinking about buying or selling real estate, definitely give us a phone call. We'll show you all the ins and outs and different ways to do things and get it accomplished the right way. That's the key. If you're looking to come up with some down payment assistance money, we talked about different ways to come up with money. And there are these, the National
Faith Home
Buyers, right, which I talked about in Wayne County. Most of the cities in Wayne County are in that program. The Mishta Loans, Pete, are great. We talked a little bit about them. And it's not always for somebody that has low income, because with a family, what did you say, a family of three?
Well, correct, and the income limitations vary by county to county and by even city to city.
Okay.
Some of the areas are targeted areas where the state is trying to provide additional assistance. They're underserved areas. Right. For example, the entire Washtenaw County.
Yes.
Okay. You're low income if you make less than $105,950.
Yeah, it's $106,000.
Right,
That's considered on the lower income there.
Right.
Yep.
So
well, you qualify for more of a house.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think that's solid income, and I think you qualify for more of a house, and you get the DPA, down payment assistance. What could be better than that?
But I mean, it varies, from county to county and city to city, anywhere from $68,000, all the way up to, like I said, $105,000 a year is low income. So it's not. There are a lot of options out there. Okay, it's probably available to you if you're a first time buyer.
Right.
There are more options now than I can remember. I mean, there are more options to buy a house and for down payment assistance for a lower down payment between Mishta, FHA, Fannie and Freddie have 3% down programs, VA, which is 0 down. Okay, you can get into a house. Caution, you have to have good credit. If you have to show that you had the ability and willingness to pay back that loan, and that's what your credit history is all about. So it's not going back. I know there's some people out there thinking, oh, it's going back to the days where anybody can get a mortgage. No, that's not true. You still have to have good credit.
Right.
I mean, that's the factor. You have to have good credit to get a mortgage.
Right. We're starting to see some of the ugly programs in the past. They are starting to pop up, but there are some restrictions on them. And again, I think things are going to be dealt with a lot differently this time around. And again, as a buyer, you need to make responsible decisions for your family so you don't run into situations like that. I ran into an interesting article, actually, USA Today's article about wasting money. Some of the Americans, we all work hard. I mean, they say the Americans work as hard as any industrial world out there, yet we have little to show for it. Right. 75% of us live paycheck to paycheck. Ouch, that hurts a little bit. And you see a lot of families even making 6 digits, Pete. You see that quite often. They're struggling with that because of things in the past, student loans or whatever their past, their toxic debt that they have that they've never got a hold of. So it's different out there. It's definitely a little bit different. Different ways to cut some of the fees and the money that you're wasting. Alex used to always say, stop hitting the Starbucks every day, every minute or twice a day. But different things like ATM fees. Sometimes when you get into a bad habit and you're always paying the $2 to $3 of ATM fees, late fees on your payments, on your credit cards, simply not getting organized and making late payments, whether being lazy or not having the money. Get ahead of that problem so you're not paying late fees month to month. And also, not paying off your credit cards and letting them get out of hand. That's a problem. But we've seen families, as Harry mentioned, the economy is doing so well, reach into their equity in their home and also sometimes reach into their 401k because you can pay yourself back. Mm-hmm. You're paying yourself back into your 401k. So you're just temporarily borrowing the money from yourself to purchase a house. And maybe that home ownership, as the home goes up in value, that gives you some wealth. And boy, that's what all the articles have said over the years, is that there's no doubt there's a correlation between homeowners and people that have wealth versus the renters out there. And boy, Tony, you've got some people that have been own rental properties. They keep going up. These landlords, hey, they don't care. If it was $1,000 last year, they're looking for $1,150 this year.
Absolutely. They're doing it all over the place. It's curtailed a little bit, but we've had a lot of people come in from out of state and just try to buy up all the houses that they can. A lot of cash buyers out there.
Yeah.
A lot of cash buyers, and they're doing some renovations. Sometimes they'll flip them, sometimes they'll rent them.
Yeah, sometimes just keep them as rentals. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that and your calls. We see Carol called from Clarkston. We'll go to Carol's call and all of yours, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
All righty, welcome back. I can't say it's a beautiful day, but every day's a beautiful day, so why not?
You woke up.
248-539-9797. Got a little Lions draft coming up later this afternoon. We got Pat Caputo with sports. Tiger baseball here. They're going to be breaking that 3-game losing streak. Yes, I have. Terry,
don't
I
laugh.
love baseball.
Don't laugh at my Tigers.
I am such
fair.
a Tiger fan that
I am too.
Yeah, like we're fired up.
Very disheartened.
As long as we're around 500 right now, we feel like we're in it.
We're not around 500.
Well, what do you
Does
mean?
Detroit still have a baseball team?
Come on now, Bruce.
Hey, Terry, question for you.
Only April.
How are the condo? How's the condo market in Novi? Somebody wanted to know on our phone.
Oh, okay.
Condos are in the same as single-family homes. There's just not enough out there. And the important thing that a lot of people don't realize about a condo is when you purchase a condo, that monthly association fee becomes a new debt, and your lender needs to know that.
Right.
Because your purchasing power is different for a condo than a single-family home.
Yeah, you're right about that, Terry, especially as not only the lack of inventory, so we would see a lot of our empty nesters move towards condo living.
Yeah.
It was less expensive, the association fees were reasonable, and they didn't have to pay for, or didn't have to do it themselves, cut the lawn or whatever the
Right,
maintenance is.
right.
You can pay people to still do those and buy a less expensive homes. But the condo market's been hit because there's nothing out there. Association fees have really gone through the roof lately.
They're high.
They are very high. So it's an interesting market, as you mentioned, as a lot of the empty nesters. Also, they're looking to not only downsize, but save a few dollars, right? The income becomes a little bit less. You're on a fixed income if you're retired and such. So you're looking for a way to save money. But most of these families came into another thing. They all refinanced their house recently. So they got these great interest rates. They're at 15-year fixed loans. They're building equity. They might only have a few years left. Wow, to go back and to sell, that's the problem, and that's why we have a lack of inventory out there.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lack of inventory, Harvey, because we have a lot of buyers. There was a pent-up demand for inventory.
And
a pent-up demand of
Lack of
sellers.
construction, yeah.
Yeah.
After the recession, people couldn't sell a house. And we came on here every week and talked about foreclosures. We talked about bankruptcies. We talked about people just dropping their keys on their counter and walking out and people being upside down. So, during the recovery, a lot of people just stayed on the sidelines. And now that it's fully recovered in most areas, and I have to say that with a caveat in most areas, because there are certain areas that haven't come back all the way, that there's a pent-up demand and people are buying houses. And listen, the baby boomers are going to go ahead and downsize, and their kids are buying houses. That's just the way it is. All you have to do is take a look at the Woodward Corridor as an example.
Yeah.
If you would have told everybody that Ferndale, Berkeley, Royal Oak, and go even into Clawson, Hazel Park, Madison Heights, all the way up and down, all the way in other areas, I mean, that these houses would be selling for what they're selling for.
It's
Nobody would have believed
It is.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
With multiple offers on everything.
With multiple offers right now. And there's tremendous opportunity because there are so many buyers out there looking for houses, and that's what's created the demand and the lack of supply.
All right, we're going to move off to a caller here in Clinton Township. We got Bill calling in from Clinton Township. Good morning, Bill. Welcome to our show.
Good morning.
What's your question?
Well, just getting ready to enter into the market. Our house hasn't been put up yet. I'm going to put up in the next week or two.
Oh, good.
Agents are really excited about selling our house, and everybody says it's going to sell fast. But my issue is that, like you guys are talking about the availability of the market, we've been out for the last week or two just doing some window shopping, see what our money can get us from that. I've already talked to a mortgage agency. I've already had my loan go through underwriting where they just need to fill in the blanks. But the issue I'm seeing is that they're going so fast. I mean, there was one house we were going to look at on Thursday that hit the market on
Back to the show. Nice job, James. I like that too. They're waking you up here. Good morning. If you're just waking up in Detroit, it's 9:47. You're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're in our 18th year of On the Radio giving you this show, and hopefully some of you folks have saved a lot of money and learned a thing or two about it. Oh, we take all your calls, 248-539-9797. Professional real estate agent Tony Hulk went in with us from Gap Realty Group down in the Southgate area. And Carol from Clarkston, you've got an interesting question. This keeps coming up a little bit, Carol. Welcome to our show. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, earlier you had a call from a lady, and you tossed out the idea of her listing her older home and testing the waters on the price and everything. And I was always under the impression that if you received an offer that was exactly your terms, everything, and you chose not to accept it, then you owed your realtor their commission, because technically they sold the house and you didn't accept it. Is that, am I crazy or is that right?
Well, Tony, go ahead and answer.
No, you are correct. You are correct in a certain situation where if it is all exactly price and terms, and we very rarely see an offer that is complete price and terms, and you would want to, for this, like this last caller that came in, we would work out something where she didn't have to sell it in order to, or didn't have to pay the commission if she did not want to sell it. We'd work out something in advance with her.
Okay.
So anyone could sit down. You could have this. So, Carol, what Tony's saying is that you could sit down, and although there's a standard listing agreement that everyone likes to go by, you can go ahead and put your own terms and conditions on there, including that even if you get an offer at full price, you don't have to accept the offer because you might not have found another property. And, Carol, that's one of the things out there is families.
That doesn't sound right to me.
Does it?
No, I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on the radio. That doesn't sound right. If I write an offer that's exactly there and I don't accept it, it has to be accepted. Okay, and then if they back out down the road, then I'm going to say maybe. I'd like one of our attorneys to call up and talk about contract law in this case. But you could bring me an offer, and I don't have to accept it. And why do I have to pay you? I don't think that makes sense. That does not fully make sense to me, Carol.
Okay, that's fine. I just was under the impression that was the situation, that if you got your terms, and perhaps even in some cases, the offer might be even
better,
than the
right?
terms you're asking.
And let's say that's true, but if I don't accept the offer, why do I have to pay my realtor? I didn't accept the offer
because they sold the house.
No, they didn't sell it. The sale wasn't consummated. Never closed.
Hey, I'm good with that.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm just trying to bring up a point. What I'm telling you is I'd like to hear more callers calling about that, and B, if just because someone makes an offer and gives me everything I want, but I haven't chosen to accept the offer yet.
Something's missing there where the seller still has to get that confidence to move forward. Carol, it's a great question. Yeah, Carol, I'll let you have the final.
Carol, go ahead. I want to hear. Do you have a house to sell? Is that why you're calling? Did you get an offer or something? And then you didn't want to accept it?
No, that's not the case at all. I was just listening to your program because I find it interesting.
Thank you.
And in that particular situation, I thought, that was the impression I was always under. And so, at any rate, thank you very much.
You got it.
Awesome. Thanks for calling, Carol. We appreciate that. Love the input. 248-539-9797. Tony, there's always these things out there that some are true and some aren't true. But in today's marketplace, that's what we're falling into is sellers a little apprehensive about getting their home on the market. A lot of the families took advantage of these great interest rates. You know, Harry and I, we looked at some numbers recently. We took a tremendous amount of our clients over the years and put them into 15-year loans. Not only are they at 15-year mortgages, their payments are similar to what their 30-year payments were.
Right.
So where are they going? There is no downsizing. They're going to sell their house this summer, get a higher interest rate, and overbid for houses because of the lack of inventory in the marketplace. They're very apprehensive about putting their home on the marketplace.
That's the thing. That's the reason why we're low on inventory, because a lot of them aren't doing it.
Right.
Interest rates have ticked up, and the market, if you're selling in this market and going to a different market, that might be a different story, but if you're selling and buying here.
So what it's created is we did a lot of 15-year fixed rates at 2 3/4, 2 7/8, 3%. Somebody's sitting there on a 15-year at 3%. Now they have to sell that house. If they don't get exactly what they want, now if they move, they're gonna get 4 1/4, 4%. I mean, they're gonna go up 1 full percentage point or maybe 1.5 points. And they're looking at it, they're saying, wait a minute. I don't really need to move. Yeah, it sounds good if I get all this money. But remember, if you're selling now at the high, you're buying at the high too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? So, I mean, people have to sit down. They have to weigh out all of their options. First caller, Evelyn. She's got options. right? She wants to pay off the debt. She sounds like she's in a good situation. She can get the maximum amount for the sale and pay off some debt. Question is, where's she going to move?
Hey, Harry, we got a great call coming in. We got Dan. He's a real estate broker. Dan calling in from Sterling Heights. Dan, you know last name.
Hi, Dan. Let's go.
Let's let James there if we can get him on the board. Let me hit that call. I've got to. Let's see if we can go to James. Go to the call there. All right, there you are, Dan. Welcome to our show.
Thanks a lot, man. I really dig your. You guys got a great perspective. I listen to you every Saturday.
Thank you.
And I think I have the definitive answer on the listing and the
right.
When you are required to pay a commission and so on.
Yes.
And the young lady that called in was correct. Aside from any other side agreements between the broker and the seller, the listing agreement doesn't say that they have to sell the house in order to receive a commission or be entitled to a commission. It says that they have to produce a ready, willing, and able buyer, which, as you mentioned earlier, is exact price and terms on the listing. So it's producing the ready, willing, and able buyer is when the broker earns their commission.
Well, they're not going to get paid on unless the deal is consummated and closes.
Not true. That's not so. I mean, it's rare that the broker will hold the seller responsible for a commission if they choose not to accept it. But in terms of the contract itself,
gotcha.
They earn their commission when they produce a ready, willing, and able buyer. And you know, part of this is tied to fair housing.
Right.
A seller could choose not to sell full price and terms because they didn't like what the buyer looked like. And I mean, there are a lot of other implications, but basically the contract is for producing a ready, willing, and able buyer. Once that's done by the broker, they've earned their commission.
Hey, Dan, can someone edit your a general contract? Can that be edited by sitting down with a family?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there's the key.
I mean, you can put an amendment or addendum to the listing contract that relieves the seller of that responsibility. But the listing contract in itself, as it stands, I'm just talking Michigan law because that's what I thought.
Hey, Dan, let me play devil's advocate here. Let me take the other side of the story, okay? So go ahead. You list my house. You bring me an offer. I decide it's an offer that is right at list price. It has everything met. And you bring me the offer and you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I've got this offer. It's everything that you want. Okay. And I said, you know something, Dan, I've been thinking about it. I don't want to move. I'm out. I'm not moving. Cancel my listing. Cancel everything. I'm out.
Can that happen, Dan?
Go ahead. What are you going to do? Are you going to try to go ahead and I might be a good guy and say, you know what, for all your trouble, everything you did, you put it on the multi-list. Yeah, it's my fault. I don't want to list. Yeah. You know what? I'll give you $1,000.
It's happened before. It's happened to me.
Right. So what do you do?
You know, well, I mean, as I said, it's not customary, or it's not really even good business sense to go after a seller for commission.
Right.
I'm just saying what the contract says.
Right, exactly. It's more about the contract.
And I want to talk about, real world and real life. If I'm a seller,
I understand that.
Right. Okay.
But contractually, the seller does owe a commission if I produce a ready, willing, and able buyer.
There you go. And, not only that, like you said, no one wants to cause any trouble. Usually they eventually get to the point where they accept an offer, and then you make your commission by selling them another house, and everyone's happy at the end of the day. It's a great call, Dan.
Absolutely correct. Thanks, and thanks again, guys, for
Dan, we're going to reach out to you and see if you want to participate on the show in the future. We really like it. Again, I don't want to miss out on the opportunity. So much equity out there for so many families. Cash out refinances, they're happening. That's right. Families are using the equity in their house to complete those home improvements that they need to do on the house to keep the values up. Getting the roof, the foundation, redoing basements. But nothing stands out more than kitchens and bathrooms. Those are still the two leading areas of where you want to clean the house up and make those brand new. That music says, Pete, would you believe it? That was 1 hour of the Hardcore Morning Show.
Tony, you're the man.
We just got started.
We appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah, definitely. Tony Holquin from Gap Realty down in Southgate, and Peter Zook from our office. It's been great having you guys, and we'll welcome you back to the show next time, Tony. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, anyone downriver, definitely give Gap Realty a call. They got 30-some professionals down there, and they give all sorts of great information. Keep it here on 97.1. I see Pat Caputo outside. He's coming in with sports and social commentary for Harry Glanz. I'm Harvey Freed. See you next Saturday.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Dan Burke for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.